YouTubers, welcome back to AZ2 Ozarks. It is a beautiful fall day here in the Ozarks and we feel that nice cool air coming in. That makes me want a nice hearty bread. And so today I'll be sharing with you my recipe for pumpernickel rye. Now pumpernickel rye is one of those breads that I have always really enjoyed, and it has complex but yet wonderful flavors that work together so well. There are some ingredients you would expect to be in the bread. So you would expect to have a nice rye flour, and we also use a strong bread flour. I like to use more bread flour, and all of these ingredients you can find through Azure Standard. I will have a link down in the description below, and I am an affiliate with them because I love their products so much. It does help me out just a little bit if you order using my link, so make sure you check out that link below. Some other ingredients you would expect to find in a bread would be salt, as well as yeast. Now for the unexpected ingredients, pumpernickel rye has onion powder. Who would have thought, right? It's not like it's an oniony bread when you make it, but the onion powder does definitely complete the flavor. We also use molasses, as well as coffee. So make sure it's brewed coffee. Just use whatever you normally have. It doesn't have to be any special brand or type. Even if you have instant, just make it so it's liquid. You'll want to make sure to have it cooled down slightly so it is room temperature. I am going to use a KitchenAid machine in order to do the heavy lifting for me here, so it will do all the mixing and kneading. You can also use a bread machine on the dough setting if you'd like to use that. If you're feeling super tough today, you can certainly mix it all by hand. Let's get started with this recipe. 2 cups strong bread flour, 1 cup rye flour, 1/2 tablespoon yeast or 1 packet, 1 teaspoon salt, a 1/2 teaspoon onion powder, 1 tablespoon molasses, 1 1/4 cups brewed coffee at lukewarm temperature. Now we will use the paddle attachment for the KitchenAid mixer. And begin mixing to combine all the ingredients and mix for about 5 minutes. Now that we have a nice dough formed, you will allow it to rest for 10 minutes before coming back to knead it again. After 10 minutes of resting, start your machine again and allow it to mix for 7 minutes. Now that we are finished kneading the dough with the mixer, we will move on to shaping the dough and putting it into a greased pan. Now we need to turn out the dough onto our work surface. I like to use a little paddle to scrape it out. Pumpernickel rye dough can be a little bit more sticky than you may be used to with a traditional bread. So it does tend to stick to you a little bit more, but at the same time, you don't want to add a bunch of flour. You don't want to make it dry. So I start by kind of making it into a rough rectangle. I flip it over and keep working it a little bit more into this rough rectangle. It really doesn't have to be precise. And then starting at this end, I'm going to roll it up. You might need to use your paddle to help you scrape it up from the surface. And what I do is I pull it towards myself, stretching, and press the dough down, pinching it to itself. So a little bit of a pull and stretch, and pressing it down to itself. And keep working till you get to the end. And here at the end, you want to press in your seam. And I kind of pinch in the seams on the sides It's really not that necessary, but it's just kind of an aesthetic thing. So using our scrape, we turn it over so the seam will be on the bottom. I use a greased stoneware pan. I prefer stoneware because I find it bakes more evenly. Seam side down goes in, and you can grease your pan with whatever you have convenient. I like to use coconut oil, and then here we're going to grease the surface with more greasing, whether it's butter or coconut oil. I'm using coconut oil. This way the plastic wrap will not stick to it. And then simply cover with plastic wrap. Now we will allow it to rise until it has filled out this pan much better. And that could, depending on the temperature of your kitchen, it could take anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, maybe even a little bit longer if it's very cool in your kitchen. But you might want to place it in a warm spot, maybe on your stovetop if you have the oven hood light on. When the bread has filled out the pan nicely, as this one has here, gently remove the plastic wrap, and you can bake it in an oven that has been preheated to 350 degrees for 35 to 40 minutes. The bread was in the oven for 40 minutes and it is ready now, so I'm going to allow it to cool a little bit before taking it out of the bread pan. Here is our lovely pumpernickel rye loaf. It is still quite hot. You really get the best results when you slice it when it has cooled. If not completely, mostly. But I know that I have people who are waiting for lunch and very eager to have some. So we'll go ahead and slice into it right now. You can see it's still steaming. It's very hot, even almost too hot to hold on to. So you can see what the inside of our loaf looks like. Very nice texture, and it also is a light and soft bread. So this is not dense as, say, the sourdough rye would be. This is still a pretty soft sandwich bread and really pairs nicely with lunch meats, especially roast beef. Goes very well with it. So the only thing left is a taste test. All right, here comes our taste test. So you can see this beautiful bread. The crust is slightly crispy, but the inside is just super soft. So let's go in for a bite. You get to watch me chew. So I have to tell you, this is one of my favorite breads. It's amazing how the flavors work together, and the molasses lends a slight sweetness while the onion powder counters that, but at the same time there's a little bit of savoriness with the salt, and I just love how it maintains its softness like a regular sandwich bread, even though it is rye. Of course, we have a little bit of wheat flour in there, but it also has the rye flour, and I really enjoy it. So I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to keep following our adventure.